Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Follow Sketch Friday. So today is Friday the 24th. This is the sketch that I've come up with, kind of blocky, I guess, color blocky maybe. So that's my sketch. I'm gonna put that right here, and I'm using some leftovers. I don't know if I'm gonna commit to using all leftovers on this one, but I pulled out a couple of them. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I have pulled out a bunch of lovely leftovers. This isn't actually a lovely leftover page though, because that wasn't my intention. My intention is to use that sketch that I got up in the upper left-hand corner. So I decided to go ahead and use this red wood grain paper. This is one of my favorite papers from Paper House. I can't remember if this is one I have in the shop or not, but it is one of my favorite papers. Paper House has some really good basic papers, and a lot of my favorites I have in the Scrapping Reflection shop, just as an FYI. So I figured since this was a layout about my Target experience, I would go ahead and use that red as the background. I have these two photos. One I've trimmed down to a 4x4 and one I've left as a 4x6. However, I am going to trim the one 4x6 photo down so that I can kind of really get it into a color block kind of situation here. I will tell you guys, it's not an exact science. I could have measured things out, but I didn't. I kind of eyeballed the things. So it turns out that it's not exactly like the sketch, but it's pretty freaking close. And I think that is kind of what matters. This is from when it was announced that I went from ETL servicing and engagement to ETL GM, which is general merchandise and food sales. So I ran the front, and then I ran everything on the sales floor, except for clothing, basically. And it's just part of my Target journey. It's interesting that today I am sharing this layout with you guys because we had an all-store meeting at my store today, and I talked about how Starbucks was my that point of light while I worked at Target. And it was, I worked there and I went and I got my iced coffee every day, and the baristas knew my name, and it just was a whole thing, right? My Target journey was a journey. I would say I loved my Target journey about half the time. About half the time I had a really, really amazing boss, and half the time I didn't. But this is something that I want to include, and it's interesting when I think about it because I decided not to have an album just about Target, and I was there a good number of years, you guys. I just decided it's just going to go into my regular albums. However, I've decided that my Starbucks journey has its own album. So I am ridiculously happy with my job, even when it's long days, even when it's hard. I had an almost 13-hour day today because I worked, and then we had a all-store meeting, which was fantastic. I love my partners. I love my people so much, and it was just a good time. Can't say I had that about Target all the time. So anyway, my sketch has a couple of different things. This is where I'm realizing that there is a kind of base layer down here underneath of the photos. So I will add that bad boy there. I'm kind of trying to line things up. I know that there are crooked cuts somewhere on these lines, whether it is the paper or the photo or something. I have cut a little bit crooked. The problem is, you guys, is that sometimes the photos that come aren't exactly square. Like, they have crooked lines on them. And I just decide that it's not worth it for me to square them up perfectly. It's not worth it for me to square up the papers perfectly. Like, I'm going to get this pretty close, and then I'm going to be done with it. Like, I'm not stressing about that at all. If I would have thought about it, I probably could have made that screenshot photo, the larger photo, a little bit more even. But your girl did not do that. She did not worry about that. She just trimmed it down. I will say that I did create this layout before today, which is Friday. I created it yesterday. I had the day off from work, and I spent the day doing schoolwork. So, fun fact, I went back to school. I started right after high school. Like, took a couple classes, stopped. When I worked for OGIS, they were paying for my school because there was a long-term plan for me to basically take over and buy out OGIS. Like, that was my goal. I was going to do that, and that did not happen, obviously, because we moved across the country. And then Starbucks pays for school, so why should I not finish if they're going to pay for it? So I'm taking classes. I'm taking a college algebra class right now, and you guys, you have no idea how much I love math. And I did something like 38 topics yesterday in my element. So anyway, I did a lot of math yesterday and a little bit of scrapbooking. So this is what I did yesterday. As you can see, I kind of filled in the space. There is a little tiny square gap right there that doesn't really match up with what the sketch calls for. So basically what happens is I have the idea for the sketch, I make it happen on my Post-it note, and then I try to execute that sketch somehow, some way. Sometimes it turns out pretty much like the sketch, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it did not. So I've got this weird layout now, right? And it does feel a little bit weird right now because there's nothing kind of combining it together. Like, there's nothing that is on the layout right now where it's like, okay, this feels like a continuous layout. It feels like it belongs together. Nothing is overlapping whatsoever. Now, in my sketch, nothing was overlapping. But however, when I actually put the things on, we're going to have some overlapping things. So down here at the bottom, it says bloom where you were planted and all the things. And then I'm going to kind of overlap 3 things together, this long bit, one of the photos, and that green wood grain paper. And I'm going to use a couple stickers and then a word that says new experience, which is, this is a new experience. My journaling says, what a journey. Finally, ETL, GM, and food. Training was just wild, and I came back. It was definitely wild. I was sent out of my store for training and was never told that I was going to be back at my store. I was never told that I was going to take that position at my store. It was just like, go have training. And then I just came back and kind of went into the role. Crazy, right? Absolutely insanity that there was no, yes, Sandy, you are taking over this role in your store. It was just kind of crazy. So anyway, now I'm going to bring in the title. It's going to say Happy ETL because I was happy, right? Like I was happy that I was getting this role. It was one more step for a store manager position, which is what I thought I wanted at Target. It was going to be my second ETL role, and I was going to crush it, and I was going to become a store manager. But life did not take me that direction. There was all kinds of drama and ridiculousness, and I asked to transfer and asked to be given blessing to move to a distribution center, and I was not given that blessing. So I found another job and put in my notice. And my other job was beautiful and good, and I loved it, and I was getting ready to take over my own store there. and we moved to Washington and I had to start over. And Washington's situation was not good. And I found Starbucks after that. So long, convoluted road to get me to where I am now, which I am ridiculously happy with. But yeah, at this moment, I was happy because it was a second role. It was growing. It was developing. It was taking on a larger team. It was taking on more responsibility. It was like the next role that you needed to have to take over your own store. So I was happy in the moment. I am going to bring in this bow from Echo Park or Cartabella, one of them. I don't remember which one. These little paperclip bows used to be in a lot of the collections. I haven't seen them in a hot minute, but I still have a couple of them, you guys. Still got that stash. So I took off the paperclip and decided to fill in the space where it says Happy ETL. You're getting some glare because that is a gold word, and ETL we made happen with an L and a piece of a J, I think, to make the T. And now I need to figure out what the heck I'm doing. Where am I? It's like, Sandy, come back. What are you doing? I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I think I'm going to add in some journaling. There isn't anything else that I add to this page. It is a pretty flat page. And I am going to journal on it real quick right here, which I told you guys already. But I'm not adding a bunch to this page because in that moment, I was ridiculously happy, right? Like I was like, yes, I'm moving on, I'm moving up, I'm getting new challenges. But looking back at it, I know everything that came after it and everything that came with it. And I just don't want to spend the time on the layout to make it super awesome. Like I don't want to pop up things. I don't want to add a whole bunch of extra, and I'm just done. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this layout. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again real soon for another video.